What's up? What's up? What's up, my Mind Your Money business folks? It's me yet again with another video on today's stock market news. I know I was missed yesterday, but technical difficulties, so I did not do a video yesterday. But I'm here today with the stock market news. And as always, hopefully you're in the market and not trying to time the market, because that is simply impossible to do. So, the government's still shut down, but I'm still going to work. And today it says the S&P 500 NASDAQ rise in choppy trade as Wall Street weighs earnings. China tensions. So there's still a lot of tension with China, which is very unfortunate, but it is what it is. There's a lot of money that has been lost in the stock market. So it says here, U.S. stocks edged mostly higher on Wednesday as markets remained alert over U.S.-China trade tensions amid hopes for interest rate cuts and strong results from Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was unchanged while the S&P 500 rose 0.4%. The NASDAQ gained 0.6%. So all three major indexes lost hold of bigger gains earlier in the sessions, continuing market choppiness after Tuesday's rocky session. Yeah, Tuesday was definitely a downer. So the stronger start to the session followed a solid start to earnings season, which buoyed market spirits in the face of U.S.-China trade friction and a U.S. government shutdown with no end in sight. So the Bank of America posted a 23% jump in profit, becoming the latest big U.S. bank to benefit from summer's bonanza of big deals on Wall Street. Morgan Stanley saw profits surge 45%. So it's interesting. The institutions that, I'm not going to say that. Either way, they're making money. The banks are making money. I didn't say anything because I really don't know what to say, but it's, yeah. Meanwhile, comments from Jerome Powell lifted spirits. The Federal Reserve said the downside risks to unemployment appear to have risen, implying more rate cuts are on the cards. Investors closely scrutinize Powell's remarks, given the current lack of insight into the economy as the federal stoppage delays the release of key data. Yeah, because the government shutdown is in place, a lot of information is not being released or shared to the public. So investors have cemented bets on rate cuts later this month, and odds of rate cut in December have jumped in recent days to around 96%. But the U.S.-China trade tension have unsettled the market, right? After President Trump said he was considering an embargo on cooking oil from China in response to its cuts in purchases of U.S. soybeans. The threat follows China's fresh sanctions on 5 U.S. subsidies of South Korean shipbuilder Hanwha. Interesting. Very interesting. So Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Wednesday raised hopes on that front, saying Trump was still planning to meet with Chinese leader Xi Jinping later this month. At the same time, the Trump administration is preparing for the government shutdown to drag on, which is interesting. Everyone in Congress, the president, well, they're rich anyways, but Congress is being paid while us federal employees are not being paid. So a list of federal programs earmarked for cuts is expected this week. And the White House Budget Office is scrambling to find ways to pay military members and law enforcement. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, you want the military to still protect the country, but you have to pay them. Yeah, anyways, it's out of my control. So let's see what happened with some stocks today. Nvidia lost 18 cents. Like Nvidia has taken a big hit as of late. Since last week, this week, but it took a hit today of 18 cents, but it's down to $179.83. That's a big hit, people. You got to remember, Nvidia had gotten up to like 190, but also remember earlier this year, Nvidia was down to like the high 90s. So, I still have some profit in Nvidia. I still have profit. That's why it's good to invest over the long haul and not just start investing and thinking that you're going to make a lot of money like right now. No, it takes time. Wealth takes time. Appreciation in goods and services takes time, or appreciation in assets takes time. It's not this microwavable thing. So remember that. So invest for the long haul. SPLG, the S&P 500 ETF, gained 34 cents today, closing out at $78.25, which is good. I'll take that. FTEC, Information Technology ETF, has taken a hit as well since last week and this week, but it gained $2.01 today, closing out at $224.26. Broadcom. What did Broadcom close out as today? ABGO. Wrong stock. Okay, give me a second, people. Oh, there we go. Okay, Broadcom gained $7.20 today. Closing out at $351.33. Let's see what happened with Tesla. Tesla gained $5.91 today, closing out at $435.15. Oh, let's see what happened with Palantir today. Palantir lost 12 cents today, closing out at $179.62. Yeah, so the market has been taking a pounding because of the U.S.-China trade tensions, and plus the government is shut down, like they said, with no end in sight on when it's going to reopen. There's a lot happening in the U.S. that's affecting the market, but still, you can invest smartly. However, before you can invest, you need to create a plan. And I say you need to create a plan because most Americans are in debt. And so you need to create a plan to get out of debt. And that plan is called a budget. So you need to create a budget. We need to also look at America as a whole is a business. The reason why, in my opinion, there's so much tension with China because everything is being made in China. If you look at a lot of American goods, it's made in China. Nothing is made in the U.S. And then the U.S. is in debt to China in the trillions of dollars. And America as a whole is $37 trillion in debt. And then the American people within America are like over $18 trillion in debt. Because America is a business. It is a business. Nothing is made in America, but you're being sold something in America every day that you log onto social media. Every day that you turn on your television, you're being sold something. So we keep the world spinning in the United States of America, the United States of America's world, by spending money. And when we spend money, a lot of us are spending money that we don't have. Oh, what happened? My power went out. Oh, my computer is unplugged. That's a problem. Sorry about that. I was wondering what happened. Yeah, so either way, America's in a lot of debt. And America is always selling products. You know, just think about when you're watching television, if you're watching regular TV in America, commercials are being played constantly. When you scroll on your social media, someone is selling you something constantly. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem with that is that most people are spending things and spending money on something they cannot afford. And they're going into debt to live up to this false reality, in a sense, right? And you need to understand, like I said, wealth takes time to generate. None of these people who are wealthy right now, like Jensen Huang, the man behind NVIDIA, his company has been around since the 90s. He's been working on this, so he's not some overnight success. Mark Zuckerberg is not overnight. Elon Musk is not overnight. President Trump is not overnight, right? All of these business people who are making millions and even billions of dollars, it did not happen for them overnight. It took time. And so we're seeing the results of their hard work that was put in. But right now, because of technology, and we see so much, you can do so much even with AI right now, we're trying to get this instant success. And the worst thing you want to do, especially if you don't have much or you came from little and you get a lot, you're not going to know what to do with it. So it's going to run through your fingers. There's probably a lot of people who got a lot up front, who didn't earn it, who didn't work for it, that just wasted it. They just wasted a lot because they just not have the aptitude or the understanding or the know-it-all on what to do, right? And those that told them what to do, they didn't listen because it's unfamiliar to them, because they didn't grow up hearing this stuff. Like, we're not taught in school anything about business, investments, and being a consumer. You know, so you need to start investing, because you need to become a business owner. So that's one thing America does give tax breaks to. They give breaks to investors and business owners. And you can be a business owner. You can be I am a business owner of several businesses because I invest in them. I invest into the S&P 500. So I own pieces of the Apple business, the Microsoft business, the Meta business, Johnson & Johnson, Starbucks. I own parts of those businesses because I own the stocks. And because I own those businesses, there are certain tax breaks that I get because I own these stocks. So I am given, benefits for owning them. Then some of these stocks pay dividends. And these dividends, instead of paying this money in taxes or putting it back into the business, and you would still have to pay tax because you put it back into the business, you give it to the shares of the business. You give the profits to the stockholders or the stakeholders who are investing into your business in the form of dividend payments, a quarter. Some of these stocks they may pay out monthly. A lot of them pay out quarterly. Every 3 months you get a payout. So become a business owner by owning some of these businesses and these assets. You are a consumer. You're buying these businesses. You're buying Nike. You're buying Starbucks. You're buying Apple computer, Apple watches. You're buying BMW cars. You're buying Ford. You're buying Chevrolet. You're buying GMC vehicles. Why don't you own any of the stocks that are making millions of dollars every day? Right? And this technology thing that's happening, oh my goodness, like I'm listening to like AI videos every day. I was listening to one as I was preparing my lunch for work today before I got on. This AI thing is going to turn but it's just different. It's like the reason why you should want to get into AI, one of the speakers said that people who are not familiar with it, or they think that AI is a bad thing. Then she said, well, why don't you go and wash your clothes like in a tub or on a washboard like they used to do in the past? No, you're not going to do that now because you have a washing machine. It's evolved to a washing machine. So AI is going to involve a lot of things into something different. Once something that used to take several people days and maybe weeks to do, AI can do it within an hour. You know, there's a lot happening. But either way, I'm going to end this video. But like I said, you need to get out of debt, people. You need to get out of debt. Things are changing. Like, this government shutdown is bigger than the government shutdown, at least in my opinion. I'm not behind those closed doors, so I don't know what's actually happening. But I know I've been around long enough to know it's bigger than the government shutdown. And there are things that are taking place and that you need to be prepared for. And the only way that you can be prepared for something is by having your house in order. You can't control anyone else. You can't control the government. You can't control China. You can't control these tariffs. But what you can do is control you, that reflection that you see in the mirror. You. And you can control you by at least being stable financially, mentally, and spiritually, right? Have a plan in place. You know, like I said, it sucks not being paid, working for the federal government, but I'm not worried because I'm in a good place financially. I have my emergency fund. I've said it's good to have a 3 to 6 months emergency fund, but I have more than that as an emergency fund. I do want to get paid. And hopefully things will get squared away in Congress to the point where they can reopen the government back and people can come back to work and we can start to get paid again. But I didn't stress out. I'm not stressing out because I have my emergency fund in place. But I guarantee you there are a lot of people out there. Actually, I heard a military member call into Dave Ramsey just 2 days ago. And she was unsure on whether or not her and her husband was going to be paid. And they had bills due. And she was trying to lower her debt, right? And she started crying over the phone because she wasn't unsure. But I think the president is now looking to find money, I think in the article that I read, to pay the military. But just think, I guarantee you there are a lot of federal employees out there who received that less than expected paycheck on last Friday, because we got paid Friday, and I got less than my pay, right, that I normally get. So there are more than likely a lot of people who are going to be in a bad situation because they're not being paid, or they won't be paid in 2 weeks or next week, and they have bills due, they have rent due. So yeah, so I'm going to end this video. So like, comment, subscribe, share this video, let me know what you think. If you think anything at all, start investing, people. You have to start investing. Invest into yourself so that you can learn more, so you can stay on top of the changes, so that you can, you know, create the foundation needed for you and your family, and do what needs to be done in order to be successful, to create that type of freedom that you need, that freedom from stress and dependence on something else or someone else, and that freedom to do whatever you want to do because that's what you chose to do, not because you're being forced into that thing, right? So, disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I pretending to be one. So any and all information on my channel is for entertainment purposes only. So please consult with a financial advisor before you invest any of your hard-earned money. So, yeah. All right, so you guys take care. Have a blessed day. Peace.